VLOOKUP is truly an amazing function, but it does have some traps, and I'll show you how to avoid those. I have two tables here, some orders and a price list. I'm using a VLOOKUP to connect those tables, to search for the trip ID on each line in the price list to get a trip name. It works right, and let's focus on how it works. A VLOOKUP function takes a value and a table and checks the first column until it finds the right value, and then it returns it. But it always checks the first column. There is no way how to change that. You cannot check the second column and get the result from the first or something like that. You get problems when the table is not very well organized. Here, I'm quite lucky because the trip ID, our connecting element, is on the first column, so I have no problems. But let's imagine another situation. Let's imagine price would be in the first place. Then the trip ID is on the second place. That's fine if I want to search for a trip name, because I can only select a part of the table, and in that part, the trip ID is still in the first column. But in this situation, it's impossible for me to use the VLOOKUP to search for the price, because there is no way how I can search to the left of my search column. If the trip ID would be at the very end, there's no way how to use VLOOKUP at all. You can see this not available. It's impossible to search to the left of the column. So when my data is organized like that, my only chance is to reorganize them. Or alternatively, you can use the index and match functions, but this is way too advanced for this lesson. Let's focus on another trap that's happening. When you examine my function, you will see that I selected full columns in that case, even though the table only has several lines. Why did I do that? It's quite practical. I'll show you the other way how you can do that and why it's not the best way. You can only select the table with the data like that. I can only select this area. That would make much more sense, right? And 0. Same on the first line. Let's fill it in to see the difference. And I get a lot of errors here. Why is that? The reason for that errors is how formulas in Excel works. They work in a relative fashion. That means the formula actually remembers, hey, VLOOKUP, use that cell that's on the left and search it in this table on the right, maybe 3 columns to the right and 1 line up, and to search from in the second column. That's how it works. So it does remember this relatively. So when you move the formula, it will move where it searches as well. So it does work for the 3 lines, but on the 4th line, this section goes down, so you are losing the results here, and that's why after some time it's like way too much down to find anything. You can still use that, but you need to use absolute reference like that. VLOOKUP, I'm looking for F06, and after I'm selecting those, I need to press F4 on my keyboard on the top line to include these dollar signs to avoid this relative reference and do an absolute reference. Column index 2, 0, same on the first line. I double click, now it works, because now the formula knows that it only should look in that exact area. But isn't it a little too complicated? I think so. That's why I prefer selecting the full columns. Unless there's a special reason why you don't want to do that, I recommend using that. The formula is a little bit easier to read and you save several clicks. So that's why I would always do that. So that's it. And these were the 2 traps to avoid with VLOOKUP.